All right. If you have a question, use the raise your hand function. And then,
I have a question first.
yes, go for it.
Dudley, where's the backdrop from?
Pebble Beach.
It looks like a baseball field more than
It
Pebble.
is. It
Oh.
is. Here, let me move out the way. It is, but it's nearby Pebble Beach.
No kidding.
Yeah,
So it's on the Monterey Peninsula.
something like that.
Maybe the best baseball field ever.
Yeah, and you can lose a few balls though.
Be all right.
Yeah.
I'd be willing to go help them fetch them. Okay, now we can start. Sorry, I was distracted.
All good. Ethan, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Hey, Mike, just, talking about Sunday a little bit, not just, the fact that y'all bounced back with a win, but just kind of the way that y'all played doing so. What'd you think about that?
It's sports, man. I mean, I wish I could explain it. I'd like to sit up here and take credit and tell you we changed all these big things and did all these different things. There was a few little small things, but it's a crazy thing with sports when you travel and you're dealing with human beings. But I would have never predicted a 40-point win over a Georgia team. It's hard to score 40 points against them, much less have that differential. So not going to sit here and tell you I saw it coming. I will tell you we had two really good days of practice. I do think sometimes there is a tendency to rally around when somebody, is going to be out like Talia was. It wasn't like it sprung on us. We knew on Friday we didn't know that she would be out, but she didn't practice on Friday, and then she didn't practice Saturday. So we had two really good days, and then it just carried over. I thought our start was phenomenal, which kind of I think spooked Georgia a little bit and was just never able to recover. And we played, you go back and you look at it. Like I said, I don't ever get up there and try to be. We only shot 37%. We could have done more. We did not take a bad shot in the first half. Not one. We didn't take one bad shot, and we only had one turnover, and it was with about a minute to go after the TV announcer jinxed us and said we hadn't turned it over yet, as we were literally turning it over. So, and it was a dead ball turnover. So when you take great shots, you get to the foul line, play great defense, which we did the entire game. Something like that's capable of happening. I think it's a good thing for us to all go through because it's really hard to explain and be honest about it. Like there's some randomness involved, but I do think our kids responded. They did not panic after Kentucky. I think the way they handled the trip home and the days in between was very professional, very mature. And I think as a result, we were able to bounce back. I think you have to be able to do that. I think part of that, again, I hope that what we did in the non-conference prepared us for that. I don't know that for a fact yet, but I hope it helped that we did have some tough moments and some tough games, and we bounced back and we won at Florida State. So we were able to draw from some of those things. But all in all, nothing we could have, I don't think any of us would feel very comfortable saying we all predicted that would be the case on Sunday, the way we played and the result.
And has Talia been able to return to practice any? What's the update there?
She has not, it's an informational thing at this point, just the time that we can get and find out exactly what's going on and make a good plan. So we haven't had that time. So she didn't practice again today. We have practice tomorrow at 11, and then we'll have a game day shoot around. So it's literally going to be once we get all the information and we can just make the best decision for her, short-term and long-term.
And then last thing I'll ask is just obviously a really talented Mississippi State team. What are your thoughts on them? What stands out?
Well, I sit on a committee for the WBCA where we look at the positional awards, and they've got like 5 of them. They got somebody at every position, and multiples at a couple, and some kids that will play their way onto that. So we've known that there's a talented team. The thing that scares me most is they're 0-2. They've played 2 good teams, so you can't. But there will be, I'm sure, they will have their full attention coming in here. There's not just one player you can key on. They're all veterans that play. It's funny, ironically, Jerkayla Jordan's one of the players not on a watch list, and I'm making a case for him. Like, how can that kid not be on a watch list, and she's one of their best. So extremely talented, versatile. They're hard to prepare for because, you know, Sam worked for Jeff Walsh for a number of years, and they tweak and change things game to game. So we're going to have to work on concepts, be very good at what we do first and foremost. You know, I think we got they pressure you. It's going to be physical. So I think we've played 2 games that'll have us ready for it. But yeah, it's a really, really talented team that's got aspirations for not only getting to the tournament, but going deep. So I know they'll play incredibly hard.
Dudley?
Yeah, a couple of questions. On Talia, should we list her as day-to-day, questionable, doubtful? And
Yeah,
also-
I'd be day to day because it's one of these deals, Dudley, where it could be like you're okay, go full go. There's not going to be an in between. It's either going to be an out or an in deal. So that's why I would tell you make it day to day, and if you want to even abbreviate that in these worlds, it's hour to hour. I may not know until we put the lineups in. So that'd be my recommendation.
And then obviously you want to have her back and playing, but how much appreciation did you have for what Carly Keats did the other day?
Well, just, you know, if you know Keats, you know nothing faces the kid. So it was just a matter of I've been writing on her cards that you never have to get ready if you stay ready. And she walked by me and she said, Coach, I've been staying ready. That's about all you can get out of her. Kylie can probably co-sign with me on that. And anybody that listened to the post game and Phil's interview with her knows you're not going to get much out of her, but you know, that she was able to play 40 minutes and play the way she did on both ends of the floor. You know, we've known that she's got that in her. She did it a lot for her at the junior college level, and it was kind of fun. She is one of those kids that was mad she went 2 for 10 because she thought every one of them was going in when she let it go. I promise you, if she gets those 10 shots again, she's probably able to make 5 or 6 of them. But really proud of her, and not just everybody, you know, kind of taking it on themselves to do just a little bit more. Nothing out of the ordinary, but maybe 1 extra rebound or 1 extra defensive stop, or, you know, Max pace, the way she set the pace, and Sam handling the point against that zone. When you got veterans like that, they were really very instrumental. And with Merriam and Saylor, our 2 sophomores, and with Keats, just tell them, hey, it's okay, we got this. And, you know, then the confidence flowed, and it was fun to see him play with some confidence.
And then y'all are very familiar with one of Mississippi State's players. So what's that dynamic like, you know, going up against her?
You know, it was funny. We did the scout today, and we were like, how weird is this to, you know, have to write a scout about her? And you know, obviously tendencies were not something that we had to go over. They've been with Erin for, you know, 5 years. I mean, she was a Razorback for 5 years. I think it's going to be something we all go through more and more as our careers go along. But this is one of the first times that faced a kid that was with us for 5 years. It wasn't, you know, everybody says she was with you for 4. It was the 5th year there, you know, if you go back and look. So, you know, everybody loves Erin. She's a Razorback. She says it. She's a Razorback, but she wanted a little different thing for her senior year. So, you know, we've worked on her hedging ball screens because we know she's good at that. We've worked on her driving the basket, getting her boxed out. And I'm not going to be yelling for travels like all the other coaches have in the past on her, because it's not a travel. It just looks like it. So, you know, I saw some quotes that she had in the paper. I know she's going to have a lot of emotions about it. We won't do anything to tack on to what she's already having to deal with, but she is one of those great players y'all mentioned, you know. So we have to be ready to now defend her and make sure that she doesn't make everybody else on her team better as well.
Thanks.
You got it.
Anyone else want to jump in?
I'll jump in with a couple quick ones. Mike, when you're down a body, what's the conversation like as far as not getting into early foul trouble and not wanting to talk about not getting into foul trouble and risking really being shorthanded?
Yeah, a lot of that. Well, and even too, how we prepped those 2 days, you know, making sure we had our legs, the number of reps that we did. But I will be honest with you, I was really glad that Georgia came out in a zone. We knew they were going to play zone to start, but that means there's a far less chance of Merriam and Saylor getting a moving screen, you know, in the offense. I thought that without having to talk about it, because of how we felt like they were going to play, we didn't really have to mention it too much. But yeah, I was holding my breath every time a whistle got blown, and and seeing Matt getting involved and Merriam specifically, because our defense changes a lot when those two kids are out. Not to say that we could play without them, the other kids, but those two kids really impact it. So I was glad that Georgia played zone. I was glad we didn't have to set a lot of screens, but then I thought our discipline was better. We pointed out to Merriam the number of feet between her and the basket that her fouls occurred at Kentucky. She needs to commit 4 fouls a game within about 2 feet of our defensive goal, not our offensive goal. So I think it was a valuable lesson we learned there, because obviously without her at Kentucky, our defense wasn't the same. But to see them carry that over, part of it was game plan on Georgia's part. Part of it was game plan on our part, I think, Brett.
And then last year, to me, the comparison I had from last year to this game the other day was your Florida game a year ago, where you scored 100 points and it felt like just everything went well. And you played really well after that at Missouri. You got a win, and then you got the Vanderbilt buzzer beater. More than hope, is there the thought that this will have a direct carryover with just the excitement of playing well with everybody, or is it still the randomness of kind of game to game in the SEC?
I mean, you can fool yourself if you want to and say that there's a hot streak, or, believe in hot streaks. I think it does give you confidence to try some things and do some things probably a little bit better. But I do think because we live in reality world, we talk to our kids about that. Our point to them was this: you can lose it just as quickly. That's that razor edge, narrow margin that exists in what is the SEC. It is not these big, huge boulder things. It's these little tiny pebble things, to me, that make the difference between a 40-point win and a 10-point loss or whatever. It's not these big things. A lot of times it's a lot of little things that pile up. So I want us to be aware of them. I want us to ride the energy. But I do think because we live in reality worlds, our kids flush wins just like they do losses. And I think to be consistent, we have to allow that. Otherwise, we're kind of out of alignment with what we're saying. And I would rather live in reality world and have our kids understand that it was a great thing that they did. We celebrated it as much as we could, but now you got to go back to work. And, it kind of shows what we're capable of too. It raises that bar of execution, that bar of the amount of energy we played with. We weren't tired, but that's another thing I pointed out to him. It was our high, that number, we've talked about that number that we get from Tyler, our strength coach. It was our highest effort game. So, but we weren't tired. But somehow with a less effort, we've acted like we were tired in the past. So that was a really good thing for me to point out to him. It was, you weren't tired because you were playing good and you had adrenaline and you were picking each other up and you weren't down on each other or whatever. But there's no reason you should have felt less tired because you exerted more energy. So, of course, they came back to me and said, well, you did a better job in practice the 2 days ahead. They've always got an answer for me. But I think we continue to learn, and that's what all that stuff does for us. It helps us make better decisions. But I do think each game's independent, Brad. I think you gotta, I wish we could bottle it up, man. It'd have been a fun one to bottle up, because I mean, nobody expected that. Georgia's too good of a team to ever anticipate scoring 83 points on, much less hold them to 43 in that same game. So I'm glad we did it, but we've got to move past it. Just like a bad game, you've got to move on past it and be ready for that next one that's on the schedule.
All right. Thanks, everyone.